Imagine if you died. I know it's scary to think about, but just imagine real quick. And once you died, instead of your soul passing on to somewhere else or just everything going black, you come back. But this time you come back and you're on Earth and you have no memories of who exactly you were and what exactly you did wrong. But you remember your name. Today we're talking about the story of Yoshikage Kira, and more specifically, what happened to Yoshikage Kira after part 4, leading into the spinoff officially written by Hirohiko Araki, Deadman's Questions. Now, before we even get into Deadman's Questions, I also want to say this. I think the catalyst for Deadman's Questions, like the reason Kira comes back, is partially because of the way he died. Because you gotta remember, after he physically died, his spirit turned around in the Morio alley, and then his spirit died again. Well, I don't know, whatever. But we start off seeing Yoshikage Kira walking around town in a very new, fresh pressed fit. And he comes up to this door saying he needs a telephone and he needs a fruit knife. Now, off the bat, we're met with very new rules to this world of JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. And I'll tell you right now, in this mini-series, we do not see a singular Stan Harmon user. We don't even see a familiar character. Really, all we see is Yoshikage Kira, and he's pondering to himself, how did he get himself in this predicament? But knowing that he's a ghost, one of the rules that are set is that he cannot enter a place without permission from the owner, and the way that he gains permission is essentially them opening the door willingly. There's also cases where if they yell out and say, oh, let's say you're a criminal, you say, oh, come and get me, whatever spirits of the earth, and well, Yoshikage Kira can then come and get you, because now you're opening the door for him to open into your room. But essentially through this, we learned that Yoshikage Kira, as a ghost, he takes on these jobs where we see him go after these criminals or these people who aren't supposed to be here, or whatever the case is. Really just people whoever the monk pays him for and tells him to go after. Did I mention he was hired by a monk? Yes, he's hired by a monk. And through this job, Yoshikage Kira, he tries to find purpose and meaning and happiness through it, because he doesn't know what he did in life. He just knows that this is the only thing that he has now. I think for what Araki was trying to do, Yoshikage Kira was the absolute perfect character to do it. When you have a character that you've created who literally his whole idea, his whole spiel was the idea that he wanted to live a quiet, nice, and calm life, and you take that character and you strip him of everything that made his life quiet and calm, you strip him of all of that, and all you give him is a reemergence on Earth after death and a job. You see more of Kira's character that I feel like was always there, but was shrouded, you know what I mean? But in the irony, Kira, once being stripped of that, and he doesn't become this heroic whatever person. He becomes someone who would rather live for themselves like he was doing before, but now he's doing it in a completely different way. Oh yeah, I also got to explain how ghosts interact with the real world. So essentially what Kira can do is that he can speak to living people. He can talk to them regularly, whatever the case is. He can phase through walls when he's given permission and all that. But one of the drawbacks is that animals like dogs can see him and they can attack him. And once they attack him, it's very easy for them to take his limbs, because we did see a dog do that. And Hirohiko Araki wraps up the spinoff really nicely with the last mission we see him do, which is technically the second, where he's given the task to go to this ghost house where he can actually interact with everything. He doesn't have to ask for permission to open doors. He can go and see all his music and see almost everything. He said it felt like a haven to him, only for that place to be busted by what are called soul clearers or soul cleansers. They were hiding in eggs, and Kira had touched one, releasing almost all of them and almost killing him in the process, but he ended up escaping. And This is where it actually ends, honestly. After that mission and he escapes and he walks off, that was it. And some of you may be sitting here wanting for more, but like, I feel like it makes so much perfect sense as to why we never see Kira get a resolution. Because this is his personal hell. He's created this situation for himself, and now he can't even remember why the situation was created, what he did. All he knows, and he actually does repeatedly say this throughout the manga, where he says, I'm Yoshikage Kira, and I know I'm not going to heaven, but I do not know what I did. He's a character that's perfect to use for the model of continuously growing, because I've always felt like, at least when it comes to JoJo villains, with his motivation, it was a lot more, pure isn't the right word, boy, if you don't get, but a lot less grandiose, a lot less, world ending, world changing, you know what I mean? All he really wanted to do truly was have peace of mind in his heart. But since he also had this murderous intent, that peace of mind came from him carrying out what would basically purge his mind, and then no one finding out. I don't really call back to this interview a lot, or really often at all, but there is a old interview where Araki talked about what Kira's backstory would be, and essentially his relationship would be with his parents. And he said that he probably would have needed 2 to 3 more full volumes to flesh out Kira's mental state and his relationship with his parents. If you really want to learn what it would be, I'll just tell you the name. Jump Square is from December 2007. Hirohiko Araki interview. Pretty sure you can find it on the JoJo Wiki. They have the full interview up there. I brought that interview up really to just solidify how highly Araki thinks and has thought of Kira for a very, very long time. And I feel like this spinoff, it just highlights that even more. You see even more how much Araki loves Kira. To finish this video off, I have a quote. Really, it's the author's note from Deadman's Questions, where Araki explains basically the reasons why he wrote this manga. He says, I wrote this story with the idea of a protagonist who, even after death, seeks peace of mind and continues to live in this world in the form of a spirit. The protagonist of Deadman's is actually the ghost of the main villain of part 4 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, the deceased homicidal maniac known as Yoshikage Kira. In the world of the dead, if there is indeed one, it probably wouldn't be a place where everything is possible. Rather, it will be regulated by rules similar to our own world. The idea that ghosts have to struggle just as much or even more than normal people is quite peculiar. That's the idea I had in mind when writing this story. Even so, when I got to the scene where he discovers he can no longer listen to his favorite music, I got a little teary-eyed. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. We're on the road to 2K. We're about to hit 2K very soon, so join up. And until next time, peace.